Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Not Too Comic Book. This being a show where I talk about TV shows that are adaptations of comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the series premiere of Secret Invasion. Great series premiere. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. Well, first and foremost, I do love going into this. We've all heard kind of like obviously the spy thriller of it all, but I do love like the paranoia of it because it is a thing of you already exist in a spy world where you can't trust anyone. It's worse when you're dealing with aliens who can literally be anyone at any point in time, that they can gain a person's memories and pretend to be them flawlessly. That is just like, how do you counter that? Like there is, especially the longer they've gone into a human shell or human form, the less that not only a human won't be able to tell, but even another Skrull won't even be able to tell. Like unless you like really kind of narrow it in, then you'll be able to. But even then, it's just like even the Skrulls will be confused by it. But when we got introduced to Ross, I was like, hey, yo, I was like, oh, so I was like, is this Ross post Wakanda Forever? But it turns out it's like, I wasn't, because even I was getting that paranoia at the beginning when he's talking to that guy Prescott, which I was like, well, I recognize this actor. He's like from the TV show The Watch is like the most recent thing I'd seen him in. But he's talking about like, the Skrulls are here and they're causing terror. They are basically disguising themselves as terrorist group attacking one country, then pretending to be another attacking. It's like, because it's multiple groups taking credit for these particular attacks, and it's like a chain of events of them. Like I was wondering, like, are they trying to pop off and turn this into like a your typical war situation of you make this country seem like they're being attacked by this country and you get everyone firing at each other. It feels like that's kind of like the motive behind what they're up to. But it's like, right, there's not that many Skrulls on Earth. Like, why would they turn against us? Because they're supposed to be on good terms with Fury. And that's the whole point of it all, is because not all of them are. Because obviously we have not found out what's happened on, the last time we caught up with the Skrulls in their entirety was in Captain Marvel, and that was in the 90s. Like the only other Skrulls we've seen pop up since are the one that's in WandaVision that went to get Monica. Then there's also Talos and his wife at the end of Far From Home. So we haven't really had a lot of time to see like, okay, what's happened to the Skrulls in like that 30 or so year period. Basically, it seems like the head of all of this, like one of the leaders is Gravik. Him and Fury had a good relationship, but Fury's inability to find them a new home in the past 30 years has led to him, as well as many, being super frustrated, and he's kind of radicalized a lot of the population of Skrulls that are here. So it's like, begs the question, where's the main populace of the Skrulls at then? It's like, because apparently like only some of them are supposed to be on Earth, but maybe there's a lot more on Earth than even anyone's aware of. So it begs the question, if they haven't been able to find a home, it seems like, because the way Talos talks about, or is it Talos? Because I feel like I've heard it both ways, but I'll go with the Talos pronunciation or whatever. But it seems like the way he was like, right, we helped you out for the promise of you helping us find a world. So it's like, right, we've been working with Fury here on Earth for the past 30-ish, since Captain Marvel, we've been working with Fury. And I think it's so beautiful that we see him and Talos like kind of touch heads, because it's like, yo, we're not just friends, we're not just comrades, we're basically brothers in arms. I mean, we've been side by side, throughout this all, like, because Fury has always been the man of many secrets, because he's always been the one that typically knows more than everyone else in the room, which I think it's an interesting thing that we'll kind of talk about a little bit later on. And I love that Ross reveal at the end, because I was about to say, like, because I was like, okay, the guy Prescott tries to attack Ross. I was like, it actually is the real Ross. I was like, is he going to actually kill Ross? And but it's like, is it going to end up being a Skrull? And it turns out it was one that was kind of getting chased, and the person chasing him was Talos in disguise. So I'm like, dude, this is going to be the most, like, I don't know who to trust type of show. It's going to make you paranoid because you don't know who's who. Because even when you think you're expecting a twist, you're like, oh, it's going to be this, especially the ending. I'm like, oh, it's going to be this, but then it turns out, oh, it's not that, it's something else. So this show is going to be riddled with like, I don't know who to fully trust in that regard. But the Skrull pretending to be Ross, which, because I was almost about to say too, I was like, he's not with the agency anymore. So I was wondering, like, because I'm trying to remember where we left off with Ross in Wakanda Forever. He was still stateside. did he get arrested by his Valentina, but didn't yeah, because they rescued him. I can't remember if he came back. Wasn't he in Wakanda with them, or was he still stateside? I don't. It's been a while since I saw. It's been a couple of months since I saw Wakanda Forever, so I don't remember off the top of my head where Ross was. He definitely was on the outs with the CIA. So I'm like, how? Like, I'm pretty sure like he was free by the end of the movie, because I know she had arrested him at one point in time, but I don't remember if that's where we left him off at. For Prescott, I guess it's like he still has his CIA connections, and maybe that's why he's more willing to meet you, because he's out in the cold. So maybe that's why Prescott was more willing to meet him and trust him. But it's like, yeah, Prescott was in the right to try and kill him because it wasn't Ross. So now Fury's brought back on Earth. It's probably like the last time I'm trying to remember, when did we find out about him being in space? I forgot what movie that was. When we found out about him and Saber. What movie was that? I guess it was, no, it was Far From Home, wasn't it? Like, wasn't it like the tail end of Far From Home? Or was it something else where we found out he was in space? God, I can't remember off the top of my head now. Because I know we got the Talos and his wife reveal in Far From Home, but I don't remember if we got the Saber reveal. Either way, he's been up in space for a couple years now, and him and Talos meeting up again. We find out about his wife had died. The fact is that his daughter Gaia has kind of gone out on her own, and it's like, yeah, but she was kind of upset. A lot of people were, because the main council, he got ousted from it because he was very pro. Hey, he still believed and trusted Fury. It's like, just give him more time. It's like, well, we've had enough time. It's like, yeah, we live for a longer time than humans, but that's still like so long we've had to live without a home, and we've had to go by all these years on Fury's empty promises. So I even love that line from Talos where he was like, yo, like, the blip changed you. Like, after you came back, you're just not the same. And I'm wondering what capacity. I guess it's like you lost some of your edge. Because, and I'm trying to remember who brought it up. I think it was Sonya that brought it up, which I thought was so interesting. I love Olivia Colman, dude. She is, as I love as Talos says, she's super cheeky. When the guy was like, oh, so we're going to pick up the bomb, she's like, oh, you mean we're going to wait for the person to pick up the bomb and follow them? Yes, I totally agree with that decision of yours to make. I'm like, I love it. I love how cheeky she is. And she's like, oh, tall black man in Russia. So either it's going to be Nick Fury or it's going to be so-and-so. She's like, I was so hoping for like a rendition of something. And it's just like, yeah, your goons doing their excellent work. Excellent, extraordinary. Oh God, you guys are always been mediocre, but extraordinary. Like, I love the energy she's bringing to the show. Oh, she's so good. She's so good. I love that. Like, just chewing up the scenery and like just having so much fun with it. But she had brought up the fact is that Fury isn't the same, because it is that thing of you found someone, because Fury has been able to at least prepare and get ready for most things that kind of came their way. That was the whole point of the Avengers in the first place. But the project he put so much time and effort into meant nothing. And it wasn't just Earth. Half the universe got defeated, you know, and it's like, and what effects that brought on Earth. It's like, I wasn't here to fix it. Like, and just that something so powerful could come about with the snap of a finger, wipe me and anyone else out. I guess you can make the argument it kind of creates some like existential stuff for Fury, because when he's talking to Maria later, he's like, yeah, I kind of was going through a crisis. I guess it's like, you've always been the guy that's been a step ahead. It's like, how do you prepare for a Thanos? Like, right, an alien invasion, sure, whatever. You know, Thanos kind of fell in that category, but like, you never thought you'd have to face a threat that wasn't just a threat to Earth. It was a threat to the entire very fabric of the universe, because he wiped out half the universe. So it's like, how do you prepare? You can't. Especially because it's like, it makes him realize more and more how much he's a cog in a larger machine, that even the Avengers, Earth's mightiest heroes, ended up being cogs. Those cogs ended up saving the day, but I think it's like, at what cost, what was lost in the time frame, especially what started this project, Iron Man. And like, for Tony to be gone, I think that's what rocked him, because Maria had asked, you know, it's like, right, you cut off communication with us. Why now? Did you come back? He's like, oh, for Talos, you know, it's because I was, basically I came back for him because I owe him or whatever. And Maria was like, is it really because of him? And Fury kind of looked at her and didn't say anything. And I don't know if that's supposed to be implied to like, is there other stuff, or is like maybe because of like the graphic of it all, because once again they were close, and the reason why he's the extremist he is now because he was brokenhearted by the trust that he put in Fury is like, once again, he's the one that took it the hardest, at least the way Talos puts it. So, but I wonder if it's that, or could it be about Tony? Because he did immediately leave Earth. Like, I mean, from what we can tell, it seems like he left Earth, like, after Tony's funeral. If that was it, I'd assume that would be him, and that wasn't Talos at Tony's funeral in Endgame. I mean, because let's not also forget, it's like he didn't just lose Tony; he also lost Natasha too. So it's like one of your best agents plus one of the people that it makes you wonder, has he had any run-ins with Yelena yet? Probably not. Cause obviously her issues were with Clint, but that was because of Valentina. But that is something that's like, I'm curious, because maybe he blames himself on some level, because it's like, cool, Tony's daughter's got to grow up without a father. She had him for a few years, but yeah, now his daughter Morgan's gonna have to grow up without a father, because I'm the one that set this in motion. I made him a hero. I made him Iron Man. I put him in the position to be a better person. Like, I didn't have the direct correlation and connection to that, but the position I put him in led to him becoming a better person, putting him in that position to be the one that saves the entire universe. I played a role in, making him no longer just Tony Stark, but Iron Man, making him so much more. I mean, it's like, also like Tony ended up being like, obviously like led to the Ultron situation, led to the Civil War situation. So it's just, I'm sure Fury kind of feels a certain way about, all of that as well. So, because a lot of stuff that fell on Tony's hands, he feels, I think, probably personally responsible for. That's just a pure assumptions on my part. Maybe it's something else that he was, like, Maria might have been getting at, so. I even love later on, like, Talos is like, oh, like, because Fury comments on Talos being like 130 something. He's like, yeah, but basically I'd be about a 40-year-old in like human terms. And he's like, yeah, I haven't even had my midlife crisis shopping spree or whatever. He's like, what did you do for yours? And he was like, the Avengers. It's like, yeah, that's a pretty interesting midlife crisis shopping spree in a sense. So. I also almost completely forgot about that line during their conversations where it's like, all right, how do you think we stop the Cold War from getting hot because of spooks like me? Which Maria's like, you can't say that. He's like, yeah, you can't say that. Which I was about to say, like, oh, that's because I know that's the term for spies and stuff, but I'm also like, I know it has a racist connotation to it. At least here in the U.S., but I was like, but then I was like, oh, I wasn't expecting him to kind of comment on that. We learned that the Skrulls, the Resistance, have their own place. Like, right, anyone, like, Gravik takes in anyone that wants a home there, but he also takes in warriors, and that's where we get introduced to Emilia Clarke's character, which I immediately was like, wait, did we ever pick up her name? And they kind of were dancing around it, and we found out why. Like, the moment Talos caught up with her after her fight with Maria, I was like, it's going to be Gaia, isn't it? And I was like, interesting. Because I think prior to this, we still didn't know who. I mean, maybe some of the trailers revealed it. I've only seen like one trailer from a while back. I've avoided every other trailer, so I didn't know what to fully expect. Like, I remember for a while we were unclear on who Emilia Clarke was going to be, and I think that was on purpose. Because it's like, right. I mean, I think it's so interesting the parallels you draw where it's like, okay, like, Maria is older, obviously, not Maria, Monica's older, and now we also found out Talos' daughter is older, too. Which also I think is an interesting parallel, because both of them lost their moms, and I think that's going to be an interesting connection. Because he said an interesting thing where it's like, because the Skrulls were mad also because Fury abandoned them, and they say, like, Carol abandoned them. I'm like, this Carol stuff is going to be so interesting, especially considering, like, the next movie that's going to come out is going to be The Marvels. And so we're going to dive into what WandaVision... We have to dive into what WandaVision set up, and that was Monica was kind of weird the moment Carol got brought up in the conversation. So the speculation me and many others have had is like, right, it has to be about Maria. She must have like not been there. Because we, once again, don't know how many times Carol's been back to Earth post Captain Marvel pre-Endgame. Because the only reason why she came back was because she got Fury's like call at the end. So it's like, had he contacted her before now? And so was she out of Maria's life for all those decades? And maybe that's why Monica had such an issue, because it's like, right when I needed my Aunt Carol, for one, you were absent in my life. You were absent out of your best friend's life, almost like a sister to you's life, and Maria. And then on top of that, you weren't there when she was sick. I mean, at least that's what Monica believes. She doesn't, who knows what she might have learned in the time frame, like while she was gone, because maybe before Maria died, that was a time frame where Carol was back on Earth, because it was like post to snap and everything. But either way, my point we're bringing that up is the parallels of Gaia is the same. Like, Gaia was angry, and that's why she kind of, that's any, like, honestly, like, cult/terrorist group is going to do that. They feed on your anger of, like, right, she, like, her and so many others felt abandoned, and Gravik kind of took advantage of that. He himself is just angry and kind of lashing out to some extent, but I don't know, maybe he doesn't view it that way. But it's also sad, too, to find out she didn't even know her mom had died. It's like, wait, the moment because the way she was talking about her mom was like present day, was like, you don't know. And then he had to tell her. She's like, how did she die? It's like, ask the group you're working with. It's like, so I guess because Talos and his wife were trying to stop everything that was going on with this, like, this insurgent group of the Skrulls, and she ended up dying. I don't know if that's going to be the full story or not, because she also, given the opportunity, didn't bring it up to anyone. To be fair, she wasn't around Gravik, because there is, like, separation where it's like, right, you're a warrior, but who knows if they ever have any opportunities to really, really interact or not. So, but when they were trying to go after, because Guy had already picked up the bombs by then, but when Fury and Talos got there, and I love the guy's like, oh, I gotta go visit my wife. It's like, Agent Keller or whatever, does he actually have a wife? It's like, yeah, he has an ex-wife who's in, like, was it Florida with a soccer teacher or something like that. And it's like, okay. He's like, Fury's like, you lied to me. Everyone gets one, but they don't get two. Which makes me think of, like, the Spider-Man meme or, like, gag from Family Guy. Everyone gets one. But the guy lied again, and he's like, all right, that's two. Once again, you get one, you don't get two. And I love Talos and him are, like, duking it out, and Talos is like, no, I got this. Fury's like, are you sure? And ultimately, like, Talos was like, got him in the headlock. It's like, tell us where the bomb is. And the guy calls Talos a traitor, which sucks, because it's like, right, he's doing this for his people, because it's like, right, he's come to care about the humans. The humans haven't been, especially because he owes it to Fury and them. But it's like, I get the anger of wanting a home, but taking it out on these people, trying to wipe out this species, that's not how we do it. Killing them just to take the, that's not how we do. That's not how we should roll. But Fury's the one that put the guy down, and you can see the look on Talos' face. He's like, I told you no. Because Talos does, this is, that, like, even then he was going to threaten the guy, he was never going to actually do it. And because it's something that Gaia said too, that, right, you're saying, like, oh, you're warning, like, oh, there won't be another warning shot, but there will. Because he's not going to he's going to avoid killing any Skrulls as he can, because regardless of, we're on opposite sides of this situation, you're still my people, and I'm not going to murder my people. And so for Fury to kill the guy, it's like, because Fury kind of was just like, yeah, the guy was going to kill you, would kill you if given a chance, so I put him down. But for Talos, it's like, let me handle it. I could have, like, incapacitated him or something. We don't have to kill him, so. But Fury's, and I think that speaks volumes to where, like, Fury doesn't try to console him or anything, like, oh, I'm sorry, or try to explain. It's just like, right, I killed the guy, and I see how you feel, and I just walk away. Like, I think it's that very, like, not a lot, like, he said what he needed to say, and Fury just kind of like, right, I get it, but I did what I had to do, but no words need to be exchanged. We both know what's going to be said. So it does lead to an interesting conversation later with Maria, where Maria had talked about the fact is that Fury had always been the 3 steps ahead guy, and now it feels like you're falling behind. I mean, as the Skrulls kind of put it, it was like, right, he's here on Earth, he's got a limp, so he's not really he's not the person you should be afraid of anymore, like he was at one point in time. that very scene, he also ran into that guy at the bar who was like, oh yeah, stare all you want, but basically you're not going to be the same person you always were. Like, there's no going back to who you were. And it's like, excuse me? And he bought the guy a drink, but it's like, I was like, that's weird. I was like, did that actually happen? Did that guy actually say that, or was that just in Fury's head? No, it was 100% on purpose. I love the reveal at the end where it's like, oh, that guy and some other people Fury had run into was actually Gravik in disguise, like coming to see you. It's like, oh, the little girl playing with the ball, that was me. Oh, the guy at the bar, that was me. I was like, I thought that was kind of nicely done. I'm like, I've been keeping an eye on you the entire time, Fury. Like, the moment you came back on Earth, I'd made sure to keep an eye on you. You know? And letting him know, like, right, I was so close to you and you didn't even recognize, you didn't even realize, and shapeshift him into all these people he was. Like, I thought that was so interesting. But either way, Gaia ended up returning her father because it's like, right, I don't want to be a part. Well, I wasn't sure. I was kind of wondering, I was like, is Gaia setting her dad up, or is she herself being set up and she doesn't even know it? But she told him about the plan, but it seemed like, it seems a little too easy. And when they went to inspect the people who had supposed to have the bombs, they were decoys. None of them had the bombs. The bombs had already been placed by, I guess, Gravik ahead of time. So I guess, like, either, like, the bags were empty. So it's like, right, Gaia had to have known, because I think she was still being like, no, I'm still about this. She was pretending to be on her dad's side because I guess that was Gravik's plan, or I don't know. So that's why I'm like, maybe she's going to be very flip-floppy. Like, there's a possibility she had no idea. Like, maybe it could be a thing of she actually did hand off the, well, because they already knew about the bags being what they were. So it's like, right, it had to be, Gaia had to give them the heads up. So, but yeah, set off the explosions, and Gravik, like, when Fury shot Heel, I was like, oh my god, he's going to think that's Gravik in disguise or whatever. But then, like, he was smiling, and then we see the other Fury. I was like, oh, it's Gravik. And that seemed like, that's what I was talking about earlier, like, where, like, you think things are one way, because I was like, oh, man, he shot her thinking she was actually Gravik in disguise. I was like, oh, you're trying to play me. It's like, nope, it was Gravik shooting Maria. And I was like, wait, no. And Talos pulls Fury away, because there was, like, 2 more explosions, because there are, like, 3 bombs or whatever. And I was like, she's left there bleeding. I'm like, whoa, did we bring Kobe Smulders back as Maria Hill just to kill real? I mean, it's like, right, you gotta have stakes of like, yeah, this character's been around a hot minute. I'm like, are we really doing this? I was like, no way. Because I'm trying to remember, I was like, when's the last time we actually, like, excluding What If, I'm like, when's the last time we saw Maria Hill? And I was like, maybe the end of Infinity War? When her and Fury got snapped. Not unless that was Talos' wife at that point, disguised as Maria, but I would assume not. Like, probably his wife only took on the Maria, took on as Maria when he took over as Fury. So I wondered, is that how he started? Like, was he pretending to be Fury and interacted, like, to maybe appease a lot of the angry Skrulls? I wonder, did, like, pretending to be Fury help in that capacity? Like, was he trying to buy Fury more time, and maybe that's what pissed people off when they found out, wait, Fury's not even here, it's Talos in disguise. I don't know if that played any role, but hell of a way to end the episode. I was like, that really sucks. I was like, no, are we really doing that? I don't know, man, that looks pretty, like, definitive, but it's like, left there bleeding, and it seemed like she died. I was like, because it's like, yo, it's a spy thing. You got to have stakes. Not everyone's sadly going to make it through, so. What I also thought was kind of interesting, and it's just kind of a little detail, Dylan McDermott is playing the president in this, and I was like, that's interesting considering what we know about Captain America 4, Brave New World, because they changed the name from New World Order to Brave New World. Because of that, we know certain details on that front, so I'll go like, oh, so you're not going to be in that president seat for too long, because that's about, so I guess this whole rigmarole of whatever's going to go down in this is severely going to impact your, not unless we find out you were a Skrull, or either that or you're going to get killed in Gravik's, like, revolution of, hijacking of this planet. Maybe. I don't know, but it's just like because of certain details without spoiling it if you don't know it, but if you know, you know. If you don't, that's fine. But like the president's seat belongs to someone else in the next Captain America movie. So I was like, that's gonna be interesting. I wonder is that gonna be something they touch on at all in this show, or is it gonna be a thing of now that's 100% gonna be handled like in between this and Captain America, or like it's going to be something introduced early on in Captain America, or maybe it's just something that happens during the development. I mean, during the story of the movie. Have no idea, but it's definitely going to be interesting to see where all this ends up taking us going forward into the next episode. But really, that's all I wanted to talk about. Until the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.